New vlog. Alright guys, last week I talked about the K2 meter and the rule of 5. This week I want to piggyback off of that and talk about similar pitfalls of the flashlight technique. If you haven't had a chance to check out last week's video, I really encourage checking that out first. A lot more in this video will make sense. You can click on it if you haven't seen it right here. Or if you're on a smartphone, you can go down in the blog below or the video description below on YouTube and click on that link there. I want to break this vlog into parts like I did last week, so it's coming at you guys in 4 parts. Part 1. How the flashlight technique actually works if you don't already know. When a flashlight turns on during an investigation, it's not just turning on purely on its own. It's actually been set up to encourage this happening. What you do is you take one of these small Maglite flashlights with the twist-on caps, and you set it so that the flashlight is just barely off, where you can twist it to where it's on, and then just barely blink it off. So it's almost right in between. And then give it a couple good taps to make sure that it's not too delicate to turn on. Now the theory is that the spirits can twist the cap ever so slightly to turn it on, or more likely, I think that they can somehow get inside that flashlight and complete the circuit that's already so delicate and close. Which leads me into part 2, why this is important. Now some people will actually say that they've called Maglite, they've talked to them about this issue, and that there's no way, if the flashlight's off, it's off, it's on, there's no in between. This isn't true. I've seen these flashlights turn themselves on from this position more times than I can count, which is 4. I'm not very good at counting over 4. I'm just kidding, of course. It's actually 10. Teens give me trouble. I run out of fingers. Now, whether or not it's because of more of a heating up and a cooling down of the parts inside, or a build up and decrease of static charge, these flashlights do sometimes turn on their own. And then they'll usually turn off a number of seconds later. This is why, point 3, we use more than one flashlight. This way you can direct the spirit to go to specific flashlights. And once you can get that down, you can start to move beyond that point of coincidence. If one flashlight turns on, I like to assume it is a spirit, but the first thing I like to do is see if the spirit can turn on the other 2 flashlights as well. Best case scenario, they're going to be set up almost the same way, so that if a spirit is there and they can turn on one flashlight, you would expect that they could be able to turn on the other 2 flashlights as well. Now if you can specify an order with a little bit of a twist to it, you can start to rapidly decrease the chances of coincidence. Now of course, fortunately or unfortunately for me, one of the first times I ever used a flashlight, I had perfect interaction in just this manner. At the Stanley Hotel last spring filming with the Adventure Myths team. Now they were setting up for an interview in the billiards room. It was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm sitting off to the side of the room and I've got the 3 flashlights that I just bought earlier that day in town. And so I decided to mess around with them a little bit. And of course, we start getting interaction. It started off in exactly that way, where we could try to get the spirits to turn on individual flashlights. And when the spirit could get all 3 on, we started directing our questions to each flashlight specifically. When we had learned about that consistency then, and we actually trusted that it seemed to be a spirit, we then began to ask the questions, where each flashlight was an answer. This happened for 15 or 20 minutes of consistent interaction there in the room. Here's some video from late in the conversation.
The one furthest away, the red one if you're Mr. Stanley, the middle blue one if you're Lord Dunraven, the silver closest one if you're a different person. Say maybe we wore them out, but it took them a while at first. Okay.
Someone else.
Alright, so this means you're someone else then. Confirm that you're not Mr. Stanley or Lord Dunraven. I see you're ahead of that game. Can you turn on the red ones? The one furthest away. If you're not Lord Dunraven or Mr. Stanley, to confirm that. If you're a different spirit, can you turn on the red one furthest away?
Just confirming that it wasn't Lord Dunraven or Mr. Stanley. But point 4, I want to again tie this to the rule of 5. Now, as we've established at this point, if you've only got one flashlight that you're communicating with and it starts turning on and off, very good chances that it's just the flashlight that's doing that. Where you might start talking to a consistent signal through the flashlight, that's not necessarily a spirit. So always hold the spirit to at least turning on 2 flashlights. And if you only have 1 or 2 flashlights, try to keep your questions very specific, double check your answers, ask the same question again. Are you a man? Yes. Okay, are you a woman? No. Okay, so you're a man. You should get a yes answer. Take a listen to this example when I was speaking to Lucy through a cell sensor, which runs essentially like a K2 meter in the women's bathroom from 2 years ago at the Stanley Hotel.
Do you feel our positive energy?
Do you feel when there's negative energy? Do you just feel energy in general? Do you specifically feel positive energy then? That's interesting. I should say that word. I need to stop it.
So it is a choice, whether you want to draw from positive energy or negative energy. Did I ask that right?
No, it is a good control question. So you draw from positive energy, but it's not up to you. You only feel positive energy.
Now again, keep in mind to be understanding of the spirit. Obviously, when you're asking the same question like this a couple of times, it might get really annoying for the spirit. So be sure you emphasize to the spirit while you're communicating that you're not just trying to make them jump through hoops, or you're not just trying to be annoying. It's just a validation process to help us to be very sure. And hopefully the spirit's going to be understanding of that. And again, too, this is not exact. We don't know if it's very hard for the spirits to jump between flashlights. We don't know if they have enough energy to turn on one flashlight and then another flashlight very quickly. We don't know if it's very delicate differences in the flashlight setup that might make it easy to turn on one flashlight but not the other two. Now, because we've seen relatively perfect communication before, unfortunately, we kind of need to have the same relatively perfect communication in the future to fully trust the phenomena. And of course, the information then gleaned from it. That's all I got on the flashlight technique for now. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave comments down below. If you're interested in more of these ghost hunting tidbits or talk of techniques or different conversation starters about the spirit world, go ahead and click subscribe on the blog or go ahead and click subscribe on YouTube. And as always, I'll be at www.karlpfeiffer.com and on Twitter all the time at Karl Pfeiffer. Until next week, Colini out.